So hello, everyone. Thank you for being here again. Welcome to this new live of the R Letter, a one-on-one conversation live, although virtual, about rest. And today I excitedly am in the company of Matthew Seed. Hello, Matthew. And before I give him the floor, I just want to say a few words about what the R Letter is. It is originally actually a written project that I came up on the basis of Trisha Hersey's trailblazing book, Rest is Resistance, which was published a year ago, actually. Trisha Hersey has been working on rest, around rest for 10 years now, and she founded what she calls the NAP Ministry. So please follow her on Instagram, buy the book, read the book. It is amazing. And when I read the book, it really made me aware of how hard it is sometimes to have conversations about rest, especially in the workplace or with colleagues. So the idea with the Arletta is a weekly newsletter where I interview a professional and ask them about their relationship to rest so that we can normalize, we can make public such a conversation about rest. Why? Because rest is actually fundamental to life. If we do not rest, we die. And yet, we don't talk about it. We don't do enough of it. We feel guilty doing it because we are immersed in what Trisha Hersey calls the grind, and others have called before her, what she calls grind culture. Grind culture is what is shaping our every move and thought in the workplace, but also outside. So the R Letter in its written form seeks to normalize conversations and practices around rest. And I hope that the live format is doing that too. Just a small quote from Hersey, because really the way she writes is amazing. And please read the book. When we say that rest is important, what we mean is that it should be available, it should be legitimate for everyone. And as she writes in the introduction of the book, I quote, "Rest is not a privilege because our bodies are still our own, no matter what the current systems teach us. The more we think of rest as luxury, the more we buy into the systematic lies of grind culture. So rest is something that we should be able to do, we should be able to talk about, and it should be available, it should be legitimate. And I think already starting there, even before being able to rest, is a powerful first step. Of course, rest practices, rest capacities depend on who you are, the context you are into, the resources you have. There are different ways to rest, different possibilities to rest. We are not all equal in our capacity to rest. So I'm not saying rest is a one-size-fits-all for everyone, but it should be available and legitimate for everyone. And rest becomes a form of resistance when we realize how important it is and how the grind culture we are immersed in is trying to prevent us from resting because it wants to exploit, to capture even more labor from us. So yes, let's rest. Let's try to rest. Let's at least try to think or to talk about rest. And today we're doing it with Matthew, which I'm really happy to have with us. Matthew and I, we know each other from back in the days, and we reconnected. And he has, I'm sure he has very interesting things to say about rest, personally, but also professionally. So without further ado, I will give him the floor with my first question for him, which is most important, I would say, is how are you today, Matthew, rest-wise, actually?
Hi, Bérénice. I would say I'm feeling quite well rested, generally. Yeah. Generally throughout today, I think I had quite a bit of rest, yes. It was not a very stressful day. So I had an uninterrupted 7 hours of sleep. That's the most important for this day being a good one. So I think because of that, I think I'm well rested. Also, it wasn't particularly stressful today wasn't a particularly stressful day. These two reasons make today make me feel particularly well rested today. Yeah.
Lucky you, lucky you. So can you tell us a little bit more about who you are? Can you introduce yourself in a few sentences, who you are, what you do? Tell us everything.
Problem. Okay, so I would define myself as a legal creatorpreneur. So I didn't coin the word creatorpreneur, so it's the combination of the words creator and entrepreneur. So basically I provide content for influencers and content creators, specifically in regard to law. So contracts, copyrights, trademarks, including OnlyFans creators, what happens if their content is stolen. So take down notices, for example. So yeah, there's a lot of hustle in what I do. So even though I run that's especially the case if I run my own business, there is a lot of hustle. So the need for rest becomes even more important. And prior to this business, I used to run my own sleep startup. So it was basically selling blue light blocking glasses to working professionals to help them sleep better, because the blue light from our iPhones, for example, they affect our sleep negatively. So by wearing blue light blocking glasses before we sleep better. So my startup focused on selling these glasses to working professionals. So yeah, that was a sleep startup, and I believe that sleep is the most important thing for a well-rested life. A good night's sleep the night before.
So for you, may I ask, what is a good night's sleep? You said you slept 7 hours. Is 7 hours the good amount for you?
It's probably a good amount. I think the timing matters just as much, not just as much as the duration. So I wouldn't say I slept at the best timing. I slept at around 2 and I woke up past 10. That's eight hours, I think, today. Yeah. So the timing matters. From what I understand, 10 p.m., 11 p.m., that's the best timing to get some rest. Yeah.
Right.
I would prefer to sleep at 10 and wake up naturally at 5 or 6.
Yeah.
That would be my ideal in terms of sleep. Uninterrupted, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all have ideals, but then it feels like life comes in the way and we're like, oh my God, why did I go to bed so late? Why can't I sleep? Why do I wake up? It is a struggle. Sleep can be a struggle, isn't it?
Especially with light pollution.
Yeah.
If you live in an urban city, light pollution or noise pollution, if the walls are very thin, or what we call this lifestyle changes, because the tech companies like Facebook and TikTok and so Meta and TikTok, what other tech companies are there? The one that runs Snapchat, I forgot. Their whole purpose is to produce not produce content, but to set it up such that we are all addicted to our phones.
Yeah.
The more addicted the more addicted we are to our phones, the more profit they get, because people will pay them more dollars in ad spend, you see. So society as a whole, our attention span is just so short now, because we are all so addicted to what's on social media. And this carries on, and this affects our living habits, including our sleeping habits, nighttime habits as well. Nowadays, we see, we think of so nowadays bedtime has become a time to just catch up on social media when we can't do so during the workday.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a major that affects our sleep for sure.
Yeah.
The phone, using of one's iPhone, for example.
Yeah, these are dangerous devices, very dangerous devices.
Definitely.
So let me ask you a bit of a digging question now. We talked about sleep. You are telling us how important sleep is. So tell us now, in more generally, about rest. What is your relationship to rest? Whether there is one, whether it has changed, how does it fit in your life in general, or in the way you work as well in particular?
Yes, in the past month or so, I adopted something quite different in regard to rest. I came across this quote. I forgot by which doctor on social media. He's very active on social media. I forgot his name, but he said something about how when you have a nap, that just gives you an additional 3 to 4 more hours of productivity. Because right after your nap, for example, your mind is just so fresh. So the best thing to do is to I mean, spend 4 hours in the morning in deep work, get a nap, and then wake up and use those 4 additional hours after you've just woken up from a nap to focus entirely on deep work. And I thought it was just, I don't know, I thought it was quite insightful. So what I did was I picked a cafe near my place as my workspace. I would wake up early in the morning naturally. I would wake up at about 7. I would crank out 4 hours of deep work at that cafe on my laptop. Then I would go home at 12 noon just to get a nap for I think 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and go back to the cafe to get some work done on my laptop. So just like that, 8 hours of work. And I just integrated rest, that 15-minute nap into my life quite effortlessly for the past couple of weeks, past few weeks actually. Not all the time though, but I think that's how rest has made me more productive, the nap. So based on what I've said so far in this interview, I've equated rest with sleep. And I think it's important, for us to get that those REM cycles. Yeah, REM cycles I equate all that to rest, actual sleep.
So for you, the main form of rest activity that you have is sleeping.
That I mean, that's not the only form for sure, but I think that's the best form. Good sleep, not sleep with not interrupted sleep for sure. That's not good sleep, but uninterrupted sleep is the highest form of rest for sure. Because I don't know, there was this quote that in sleep we all become gods. And
I didn't know that. Wow, that's an amazing quote.
I don't have the actual quote in front of me, but when I do, I'll send it to you.
I'd love to. I think it's a beautiful quote. I had never heard it. So in sleep, pretty much in sleep, we all become God. Yes. And this actually resonates with what her said in her book about how rest is a place where we can connect to the divinity of our being. Like we refuse to engage with the world or with the grind. We become, we just are. And this is the most divine thing we can ever be. Just be, without producing anything.
Definitely. And I wanted to share something else. How familiar are you with this law, the law of attraction, the idea of manifesting one's reality?
I've heard of it. I think I've tried making it happen. So tell me more.
So a big part of that is meditation, and apparently, and sorry, I wouldn't say apparently, I would say this is in fact the case. The mind, our brains are most receptive to manifesting new realities, particularly just the periods when we have just woken up and when we're about to fall asleep. That's when our brain waves are in are out of the beta phase and the alpha phase, for example, or alpha or delta or gamma, for example. So for me, getting into this sleep-induced state, this state akin to sleep, for example, that's the term that's being used. That's something that comes up in a lot of the literature I read about the law of attraction, that it's so important to be in that state when we meditate, when we visualize. That's when we assess a whole new reality, I would say. I know it's not something that everyone can agree upon, this idea of the law of attraction, but I think for me personally, that's where I do my meditation, my visualization of the life I want to create, this state akin to sleep. So for me, being in that state as often as I can be in, that's crucial to me. That's why I talk about sleep so much when it comes to rest.
And again, I feel like it echoes also something she says in a book about how important dreaming is. And I think this is kind of similar to what you said, like this deep state of meditation where you can imagine things that you wouldn't be able to imagine, visualize in your like awake state or your distracted electric state of the grind culture. So, okay,
Exactly.
here's to me to more napping.
Yep, it's more napping. Strategically napping in the middle of the day so as to crank out another 4 hours of deep work. So I've got that all integrated into my life as a busy creatorpreneur who is hustling. So I've got rest, that 15 minutes, that 15 minutes to half an hour or even 1 hour integrated into my life.
So that means if you would assess your relationship to rest, you would say you have a productive relationship to rest. It is part of your life and it flows.
I think as with everything, there's always going to be room for improvement, which is why tomorrow I'm going to just escape to the southern part of Taiwan, this beach this place called Kenting. Oh. Yep, I'm just going to just retreat and spend some time in nature. That's my other form of rest, my other main form of rest, just disconnecting from technology and work and just being by myself in nature. That's a crucial form of rest for me. Yeah. So I think I could have a better relationship with rest for sure. Yep. I mean, for example, using my iPhone on my bed and just scrolling through social media and getting worked up, that's not rest. And I'm so guilty of that, doing that so often. And then how that affects my work day and how that affects my sleep at night. So I think that's something that I could be better at for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's rest is really about creating new habits and trying to stick to them, even though the addicted mind wants something else. But no, now I'm not doing it anymore. But earlier this year, I had made a nice habit. I was quite proud of myself. Every evening around 8 something, I would put my phone to charge in the living room. And then I would do my things and go to bed maybe an hour, 2 hours later. But the phone is in the living room. I am in the bedroom. I have a normal, mechanic clock. And I would only see my phone the next morning when I decided to look at my phone when I'm ready after getting up, showering, doing my things. And that really improved this sensation of being able to, as you say, retreating to yourself, connecting with yourself, cutting with technology and being able to fall asleep as well quicker. But then, of course, I forgot to do it a few times, and then I'm back to the slippery slope. So thanks for saying that, because it reminds me I need to try again. It's okay. It's a lifelong learning and lifelong process, this rest relationship. By the way, I have another question for you about your relationship to rest. I mean, we all start from somewhere when it comes to resting or trying to rest, and often someone or something has taught us rest. So I was wondering, where did you learn how to rest? Who taught you? It could be a parent, a spirit, a partner, an animal, a religious leader. Who specifically taught you how to rest?
I think it was I'm not so sure if trauma is the correct word, but I had this huge burnout followed by a massive career failure, I think a couple of years ago. And I thought it got me thinking, if I cared a bit more about my mental health at that point in time, if I took my mental health more seriously, if I didn't just keep going, things might have turned out very differently. I mean, I'm glad now that things turned out the way they did. Otherwise, I wouldn't be on the path. I wouldn't be on the path that I'm currently on right now, the path. But it made me more conscious of the need to care more about my mental health, and seeing things crash and burn the way they did, not having enough rest was a huge part of that. So it was a combination of what I learned from a psychologist I was speaking with quite regularly, I think a couple of years ago, 1 to 2 years ago, in fact. relaxation exercises. So I think it was seeing a therapist, seeing a therapist, and actually learning the steps to yeah take my health and my rest, my mental health, and a lot more seriously. And I think rest is a huge component of that.
Mhm. I like what you say. I think we need not be ashamed of not knowing how to rest. When we
Yeah.
realize we don't know and it's putting us on the wrong path, then it's good to go and seek professional help, whatever it is, whatever fits you, a psychotherapist, a psychiatrist, can
Yeah.
even a sports coach,
Yeah.
whoever. And yeah, they can teach you so much. Some things that sometimes feel so simple, but if someone hasn't told you and hasn't shown you, you wouldn't know, and you wouldn't try, you wouldn't dare to try. Maybe you would dismiss it as like, no, it doesn't, it's too simple to be effective, you know. But no, putting your phone away, for example, is effective. It's very simple. But
So, I mean, your question was did anyone teach me about this? And
yeah,
I think I would recommend is Trevor Blake's Three Simple Steps. Three Simple Steps by Trevor Blake. It's primarily for entrepreneurs, but there is this chapter in there about the importance of connecting with nature
yeah,
in order to develop one's intuition, in order to gain much needed insights.
yeah.
And I think that was quite a powerful book. Because of that book, I decided to spend a lot more time in nature before making business decisions. And I think, yeah, I mean, books, I mean, we can meet our mentors through books, primarily through books. And I think that's quite an important book I have constantly returned to when it comes to the importance of nature, really.
I agree. I think people like us living a so-called modern life, surrounded by technology, removed from nature. I think nature is the answer. And I also, in my own rest practice, nature comes in. And I don't think there is enough nature. And I really love. I feel like you said you're going to this special beach next tomorrow, and I feel like you go maybe regularly, I don't know, every week or every month or every quarter. I don't know.
Every quarter. And in fact, I believe you would like me to share with you a piece, a photograph or a piece of art, correct?
Yeah,
For
yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah. I was about to ask you about some artifact about rest. So yes,
I'm
please.
gonna show you a video clip of that spot. That's
Please.
that spot. Okay, let me pull out the sunset first. That's my favorite spot in the world. And I
Wow.
mean, I took that video 2 years ago before I moved to Taiwan, and
Yeah.
I constantly played that video and thinking about my new life in Taiwan, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad that I've gone back to that spot so many times. It's a 2 hour drive from where I live. Okay, I think you can hear a bit of that already. All right, I'm gonna do a share screen now.
Okay.
Yep, share screen.
Yes. Now it's. I mean. Oh my
Okay.
God. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna play all of that again.
Wow. It's beautiful. This orange.
So yep,
Amazing.
my favorite spot in the world.
I mean, I
No
can
one's.
understand.
It's a hidden spot. No, literally, no one is there. It's completely mine. Yeah.
I was about to ask you, is there any other? I'm not asking you where it is. Don't worry. But I was about to ask you whether there is people around. But no. So you can go there and you are just with yourself and nature.
Let me tell you how I just discovered it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was right. When I had that massive burnout, I was in Taiwan for I think a month or 2 years ago. That's before I moved from Singapore to Taiwan. But to provide your viewers with context, I'm Singaporean. I live in Taiwan now.
Okay.
So 2 years ago, I spent about a month or 2 months in Taiwan for deciding I was going to move here permanently. But I was basically riding a scooter around the south of Taiwan myself, and I just discovered this trail off the road down into the beach, this secluded trail, and I just parked my scooter and I just trekked all the way down, and I just found there were all these rocks facing the beach, and I thought to myself, okay, this is really my own space. There's literally no one there. It's hidden so far in. No one's there. I need that for myself. I need to be by myself when I'm connecting with nature. That's what I need. So the beach is, I absolutely love the beach. Yeah. You know, when I was 15, I wanted to be a cruise bartender because I would, like, I don't know, live by the sea every single day. And yeah, so the beach, the sea, I think it's something which represents life to me. If I could live by the sea forever, I would. So I think my ideal life, which would incorporate rest, would be to actually work by the sea, live by the sea. Yep, that's it. But yeah, that's my favorite spot. That's my form of connecting with nature. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm sure we are many in the world to have found such a place around, like it can be a beach, it can be a park, it can be, I don't know, a forest, it can be even your garden. But I'm really glad you shared that with us, because it reminded me of how important it has been for me in the past few years as well, to find those specific nature-based places to regularly go to. I had a place a few years ago. I would go every week. Here in Istanbul, you have to take a boat, and it was my morning, Monday morning. Every Monday morning, I would go there, spend a few hours, and then come back. And I was like, okay, now I'm good. Now I'm me, or I don't know. So thank you for sharing that. And I hope you will have a great time tomorrow there.
Thank you. So,
I'm a bit jealous, but at the same time, I'm very happy for you.
you should come to Taiwan. You should come to Taiwan too. Yep, it's a wonderful place. Yep.
Yeah, you're selling it very well. So you might see me soon.
That would be nice.
I think now I had a question about a rest practice that works really well for you, but I guess maybe this would be the rest practice you wanted to talk about, or is there another rest practice that you wanted to share in addition to going to that special place of yours?
Going to a different beach in Kaohsiung, which is more accessible to me.
Yeah.
I try to go I think at least once a week. I normally put on my headphones. I listen to one of my favorite podcasts about manifesting. Yep, manifesting my reality while walking the beach alone. Yep.
Amazing.
I think I like to do that at sunset. So just listening to a podcast, a positive, uplifting podcast that inspires me while walking on the beach alone, and maybe at the end of it, playing some 1980s rock music, rock ballads on Spotify while watching the color of the sky turn from orange to dark blue to black. That's just powerful for me. I think that's my best way of just disconnecting from what I have to do, and just that's my other practice, this weekly practice. I mean, that specific spot I showed you, that's a quarterly practice. I think once every 3 months, but I think once a week I go to a different beach, which is much closer to where I live, and just walking by myself on the beach and listening to a podcast is what I do quite regularly. In fact, quite frequently.
Amazing.
I used to be much better with a nightly meditation routine. I'm just so busy now. I haven't had the time to go continue with that. But frankly speaking, I'm not too bothered by that. I actually feel like the fact that I haven't had the time to continue with that meditation, the nightly meditation, it's actually a good thing. I feel like because I'm so busy, it means I'm actually moving forward in my business, in my life. I'm not saying it's good to skip rest. Maybe that rest practice wasn't that essential to me after all. Yeah. So maybe
Yeah. Oh, sorry, continue. Sorry.
maybe the fact that I've moved on to different rest practices like that midday nap isn't a bad thing. I mean, that rest practice has to serve you. That just like how the rest practice that we adopt would have to serve us. I mean, it's all well and good to talk about the importance of rest, but I mean, there are other things at stake here. Yeah, and I want to have this all integrated into what we. Yep. Sorry, you were saying?
No, I was like, oh my God, I want to speak because I agree so much with what you say. I think because we live in a grind culture, we even tend to transform rest into grind. Rest becomes that injunction to be the best at resting, or okay, my rest routine is this and that, and then I will do, and this is not what rest should be. Rest is I mean, at least the way I understand it, and the way I think Trisha Hersey as well understands it, it is a space of freedom. It is a space of spontaneity. It is a space also of seasonality. A rest practice that works for you at a certain time might not be the rest practice that works for you in 1 month. Like I was mentioning, going to that special place a few years ago, and now I don't want to go there. It's a beautiful space still, but it is not the practice I need anymore. And I found new ones. So I think, thank you for saying what you say, because I think we need to allow ourselves to evolve as well in the way we rest. Yeah, so meditation worked for you at a point, and now maybe it doesn't work, or it doesn't work in that night format. Maybe it needs to be tried as a morning format. I don't know, but yeah, I think the shifting nature of rest practice needs to be kept in mind, really. Yeah, so I was just like wanting to say, yes, you are so right, Matthew, thank you.
You're welcome.
And we've already talked about pretty much everything I wanted to touch on, but I have a last question for you. Sure. And the hardest, but my favorite question, I have to say. So I will start from a specific assumption that is the following. We are all ancestors in becoming. We are all future ancestors of someone else. This idea I haven't come up with, but I've learned from two great thinkers that I really like, Ada Paris and Shiva Rufay. And if we think of ourselves like that, if we think that we are all ancestors in becoming, therefore we are all a future rest teacher for someone else to come, potentially at least. So I wanted to ask you, as a potential rest teacher, what rest lesson, if you had to choose one, would you like to leave as legacy?
So this lesson is definitely not new. It's been passed on through centuries, the power of connecting with nature. So just to, I wouldn't say refine it, but to remind everyone of the importance of leaving your phone behind, switching it off, taking off your shoes, taking off your socks, just being in the place where you are completely alone, face to face with nature, and just stepping on the grass, stepping on the sand, stepping on the soil, and just being, and just realizing that we are nothing, we are no one, we are not important, we are not forever. Yep, we are just allowed to be who we are at this moment. And I think nature has this way of reminding us of that. And it's just so powerful, and just, it's so liberating to be consumed and to be rendered nothingness in the face of nature. And I think, just stepping on the grass and the soil and the sand, we just have this huge connection to that source. I think that's the biggest reminder I can pass on to anyone.
I'm a bit speechless. I'm going to say amen, because
thank you.
Yeah. That was a bit of a meditation in itself. I think going back to this Because the idea of nothingness can be scary when approached from this paradigm of the grind and of doing, of scrolling, you know, all that. You are fighting nothingness. You are fighting emptiness, you know. But
that is correct.
You should not, because at the end of the day, we are, as you say, we're not important. We are no one. We are nothing. We are just right here, right now. That's all we are. And that's way enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Great legacy, great teaching. Thank you, Matthew. Great ancestor in becoming.
And thank you for asking me that question in the first place and giving me the opportunity to remind your listeners and viewers of that.
Thank you. My pleasure. It was really very interesting and insightful and lively to speak with you about rest, especially as someone that has had a startup actually devoted to sleep. Yeah. So I'm really glad that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to talk on this letter, because you know a lot about rest and you did share a lot with us today. So thank you again very much. I wish you a very nice quarterly rest practice in your special place tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And I will make sure, make sure that we share your new business for anyone that is interested in content creation. Legally framed content creation, if I say it correctly, maybe not, but you will find the link and you can go and find resources through the app that you have created, if I'm correct.
That'd be good. That'd be good. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Matthew. Have a good continuation.
You too. Thank you.